class I was telling you about the natural sexual offences, and I discussed about the rape, incest and adultery. Today let us talk something about unnatural sexual offences. The definition is a voluntary sexual intercourse against the order of nature with any man, woman or animal is an unnatural sexual offences. This is the definition 377 IPC. So it is an unnatural sexual intercourse against the order of the nature. I told you that the natural sexual offense is having a sex in an accepted natural form, that is vaginal. So any sex against this order of the nature, we call it as an unnatural sex. Here again, just penetration or handling the sexual parts is sufficient to constitute the offense, and it is punishable offense with the punishment extending up to 10 years, life imprisonment, or both with fine. That is, it can be life imprisonment, it is a 10 years imprisonment, or it can be even the fine. In this category, let us discuss. The first is about sodomy. Sodomy is an anal intercourse between two persons. So this is an anal intercourse. It is not a natural order of sex. Anal intercourse, we call it as sodomy. It is otherwise called as a buggery also. When both the adults are involved in this act, it is called erectophilia. Or if it is a child, normally the passive agent would be a child, it is called as a pederasty, and the habitual positive agent is known as catamite. And a pedophile is an adult who is reportedly engaged in sexual activities with the children. They are called pedophile. I told you, any degree of penetration, maybe just touching penis between the two buttocks, not necessarily deep penetration into the anus, it constitutes the sodomy. And when both the males are involved, one active and passive, and alternatively the active will become passive and the passive may become active. This is by mutual understanding. They are the routine, regular sodomy practitioners. And there are professional passive agents in the sodomy. I think all of you must have seen, they are known by eunuchs, transgenders, what we know, or neutral genders. We call them as a eunuchs. They act as habitual passive agents for sodomy. And there are two groups in these eunuchs. See, all the eunuchs, what you see in the streets, I think all of you must have seen eunuchs that they traffic signals. They'll be asking for money, some favor, otherwise sometimes they behave very bad, sometimes they behave violently. And many of the times these eunuchs will be the first guest for the social functions you celebrate. Whenever you erect a samiana for the marriages, or Germans do not know how they come to know it, but they have got a big unit, and they are the first guess, and they demand gifts and presentations. And even in the society, many strongly believe that giving the gift or the presentations or first gift to the eunuchs, it's a good omen or a good sign. People believe it, and they encourage them also. But if it is as per the reasonable limits, good, but sometimes it becomes excess, they behave violently. These things will be signified then in the newspapers or in the society normally happen. So the two categories, one is hijras and second one is jananas. The differentiation is in hijras, normally they are castrated before puberty. That is, their sex organs, penis and scrotum is cut before the puberty, and in the process of healing, because of cicatrization and scar formation, the scar becomes invaginated or contracted, and it looks like a female genitalia. And they possess typical feminine appearance. They dress like females, and because of endocrinal inactivity and because of this, they develop all the characteristics of the female. They speak, they behave, they dress like the females. And in Janana, the second category of the eunuchs, the external genitalia remains intact, but their sex hormones are not functioning, they are impotent, and they are categorized as the eunuchs. So this is the first category of unnatural sexual offense, and it is seen in the people who are staying in the barracks, maybe in the military camps, in the borders, in the hostels, where the sex is the hormonal activity. Sometimes it is a social necessity or human necessity, because they only live together because of their proximal contact and the sexual needs. They involve in the sodomy. The second category here is buccal coitus. Buccal coitus, that is having the sex orally. This is also exists for quite a long time, where the male organ is introduced into the mouth of another male or a female. Having the sex orally is called buccal coitus. It is also an unnatural sexual offense. Here the partners can be both males, male or female, or male or child. Sometimes there may be even total ejaculation. You may find the sperms in oral cavity, and again this is also punishable under section 377 IPC. The same punishment can be 10 years imprisonment, it can be imprisonment for life with or without fine. Third variety of unnatural sex is triabadism or female homosexuality. Here the two partners are females and they involve in the sexual activity. When I say I think you don't need an elaborate explanation. lesbianism is an unnatural sexual offense. But it is not an offense in India. In some countries it is a sexual offense. Another category of unnatural sexual offense is having sex with the lower animals. This is called as bestiality. There are cases where the sexual activity takes place between the human beings with the lower animals. Maybe the pet animals. That normally the commonly involved lower animals are sheep, calves, even the other lower animals like cows, mares, sheasses. These things are also involved in bestiality. I think even the dogs, cats, horses, so many things I think people you must have seen. It is widely given in the pornos, pictures and all those things. But all these things are unnatural sexual offences, punishable. But here, because the lower animal cannot go and complain that an offence has taken place on it, but there is always chance that the owner of the lower animals, he may always complain, and the individual involved in the sex on the lower animal is also punishable under section 377 IPC with the same amount of punishment. So don't take it for granted that any offence, even on the lower animal, is equally punishable and is regarded as a crime or mistake. And in natural sexual offences, here it can be through oral cavity, other natural orifices, through the anal canal, or anything other than the natural part of the natural sexual offences. And the very common offences we described to as the sodomy, bestiality and transvestism. The examination of the victim or examination of the accused, be it is in sodomy or bestiality, each should be discussed separately. I think at the end of explanation, once again I will take a class 2 on the examination of the rape victim or the rape accused. And the second common sexual offence is the sodomy. Sodomy is also many times reported as an offence. I don't know if you remember well, about 5 to 6 years back, when somebody, even the great personalities are involved in these offences, a senior officer took a young boy to the 6th or 7th apartment in near Lower Tank Band and tried to commit an offence for sodomy with that individual. And that guy, he was annoyed, terrified, and he struggled and tried to escape the attempt of sodomy. And in that struggle, he fell down from the 6th or 7th floor and died. And it happened. I am not recalling the exact date when it happened, but it happened. Such cases, offences do happen. So the examination in each case, how to, we have a definite protocol of the examination of the victim and the accused. I discussed it when I talk about sexual perversions. This is a different category of sexual offense, where a person gets the sexual gratification without involving the sexual act. So they are involved in abnormal, unorthodox sex play by using objects or parts of the body, or fantasies in which they get complete satisfaction without any sexual course. So these perverted acts of sex are socially prohibited and they are unacceptable, and they are also punishable acts. In most of these cases, they are psychologically disturbed, suffering from some psychiatric diseases. So their mental assessment also could be required. They have got a significant influence on their brain maybe from their childhood, and they develop these sexual perversions. Maybe they have a sexual compulsions, inhibitions, depressions, where they develop the sexual perversions. So a general term for all sexual perversions is called a uranism. Uranism is a terminology which includes all the sexual perversions, like sexual gratification by fingering, fondling, licking, sucking, and many other activities which we are going to discuss now. The very commonest sexual perversion, which many of you must have heard, a very common name as sadism. You know, people call it that very sadist is a sadist. What exactly is the meaning of sadism? Sadism is a person gets a sexual gratification by increased physical activities of cruelty, by inflicting the pain, maybe physically, mentally, on the partner. They get the sexual satisfaction just by criticizing, by abusing, morally degrading, or by causing physical injury, inflicting the physical injuries. When the partner suffers with the pain, when the partner suffers with a lot of agony, the particular individual who inflicts this pain, he gets satisfaction, he gets sexual gratification by indulging pain in the partner. This was the practice because it is named after a French nobleman. He was known as M.B.B.S, and he was a French novelist who used to write a lot of crime stories on sexual cruelty, tortures, and sexual abuse. So it is this type of mental attitude is named as sadism, and the person who had this psychology of deriving a sexual gratification by causing pain to the partner is known as a sadist. So now in general term, anybody feels happy by seeing others being in a difficult position in the pain or in agony. The general terminology, what people call him, that fellow is a sadist. But sadist literally means a fellow who gets a sexual gratification by causing pain in the partner is known as a sadist. And the extreme degrees of sadism where the person commits grievous injuries on the partner, where they even commit the murder of the partner. This is the extreme degree or violent degree of sadism, where a person kills the partner and he gets satisfaction out of this act. And this act of committing murder is called as a lust murder. See, there are incidences where they make severe attempts of physical assault, biting the nipples, cutting the breasts, and so many other things which are the extreme degrees of sadism. They are more than sadist, and they murder these acts of it is known as a lust murder. It is a mental disease. Definitely is mentally deranged. He is not a normal person. So such persons to be treated both mentally, of course, that very thing. And there are a different type of fellows where they have the sexual intercourse with the dead people, dead bodies. There are incidences where they have just removed the freshly buried bodies and having sexual intercourse. They are called necrophilia. Having sexual intercourse with the dead body, it is known as a necrophilia. So, this is punishable by section 297 of IPC with an imprisonment, fine, and another category of sexual pervert is a necrophagia. Necro is a cough, phagia is desire to eat. An extreme degree of sadism. A person, after mutilating the body, he licks or sucks the wounds, bites the skin, sometimes he even sucks the blood and eats the flesh, and then he deserves sexual pleasure out of it. A very, very heinous, and it's really, I don't know, such things, they do happen sometimes, They are called suffering from necrophagia, a sexual pervert. Now, another type of perverts they are opposite to the sadism. They get or they deserve the sexual satisfaction by subjecting themselves to the pain, subjecting themselves to the cruelty. They want their partner to beat him, abuse him, or criticize him, then they deserve the sexual gratification. A different type of perverts, a masochism. Here the person wants to get some sort of humiliation, physical abuse by the partner, and then they enjoy the sex, or they get the gratification of the sex, and that is a different type of pervert. I think I'll tell you an example which was shown in one of the popular Telugu movies. I don't know if you recollect the film Pokiri, that Mahesh Babu's very hit movies, Pokiri. There was one character by name Narayana. I don't know, I think many of you must have remembered him. Here this character, that fellow is a sexual pervert suffering from this masochism. I think by this time you recollected that episode. This Narayana gets himself tied to the bed He wants his partner to tie him to his bed, and then she beats him with a whip, and this fellow enjoys the beating with the whip, and that is the height of his gratification. He wanted a physical beatings. So that is the typical example of masochism. While this process is going on, the another villain, Prakash Raj, enters in and he says, I myself is a big pervert, but I have not seen this type of perversion. That fellow also feels bad that he doesn't have this type of pervertism. Even that fellow, you must have seen the same movie. He gets satisfaction by causing physical cruelty to both the ladies who will be sitting with him always. So whenever he gets annoyed or whenever he gets excitement, he will just pinch them so that she will cry with the pain. There, that fellow is a sadism, and this fellow, Narayana, is a masochism. So sometimes the sadism and masochism also may coexist. A fellow sometimes he troubles and sometimes he wants to get himself to be troubled. So this type of sexual perverts who are suffering with masochism and sadism, we call it as bondage. Another type of sexual pervert is fetishism. Here, a person gets sexual gratification by possessing things of very small value of his fiancée, or is supposed to be his, he loves her so much but he cannot express, and he feels that she is her fiancée, and they get sexual gratification by obtaining the things of very, very small value belong to them. Maybe sometimes, the hairpins, the hairbands, even the pen of the, he keeps it for the lifetime, he enjoys, he gets the sexual gratification by seeing those small value things which belongs to that particular lady. Sometimes they will be procuring the things like innerwear, bras or panties, and they keep them, and by seeing them and by possessing them they get sexual gratification. They are called fetishes. Sometimes these people even masturbate into the undergarments and then they get sexual gratification. This normally exists in the males, and most of the times they are non-dangerous. They are just happy with the small objects, whatever they could get, and these objects keep them very happy. Sexual gratification is obtained. So most of the times, 90 to 95% of the times, they are harmless to themselves or to the partners. There is another condition called transvestism or eonism. Here, a male tries to look like a female, dresses like the female, and vice versa. A female wants to dress like a male and behave like the male. So it is a desire, like feeling like a woman. And the women also would like to dress like the man and then behave like the men. Transvestism. But now, it is very much difficult to demarcate what a woman should wear or what a man should wear with the change of civilization, because everyone will wear shorts and pants and shirts and t-shirts. So there is uniqueness like the female, or the female wants to dress like the male and present themselves. It is called the transvestism or eonism or transvestism, a desire to project themselves as an opposite sex by dressing themselves in their dresses. They are called transvestisms. Exhibitionism is a sexual perversion where an individual gets sexual gratification by exhibiting his private parts in the public places. This is not an uncommon perversion, please. Many of you, at least in the society, the girl students, they know many times it happens near the girls' colleges or girls' school. The boys will be wandering around. They will be waiting for the lunch break or a short break, an interval coffee break. And when the students come out for the coffee or any other things, they go around with stripping position. They will exhibit their private parts. It's just fancy. I don't know why they do it. It is the exhibitionism. They will exhibit their private part in the public. They go around. I think you also know it happens sometimes, even big celebrities in cricket matches where they run naked. That was streaking. I think it's popularly known as streaking. It was happening earlier. That is, they wanted to get some name or do something which is not accepted, but they do it. They are all sexual perverts. And this exhibitionism at the schools, colleges, it exists. I don't know how many of you heard about it, but it happens in the society. They are suffering from sexual perversions, that is exhibition. They want to expose their private parts in the public. And there is another category of the people. We know them as a peeping toms. That is, they see the people through the keyholes of bathroom or ventilators where somebody is taking bath. They want to peep and enjoy and deserve sexual, and they get the sexual gratification by observing somebody secretly. They are called peeping toms, and that condition is called scotophilia or voyeurism. And this normally develops at an young age of about 14 to 15 years, and it becomes a chronic habit and they become sexual perverts. And they want to observe while the female is undressing, while taking bath, or when somebody is fully nude. That is the only activity. They will be just looking, observing people while taking bath, dressing or undressing, and they will observe the nude, and then they get the sexual gratification. And there is another thing called trialism, where the sexual practice will be involving more than two persons, maybe 3 or 4, There may be two of one sex and one of opposite sex. And sometimes a perverted husband gets the sexual satisfaction by inducing his wife with sexual intercourse with another man, and then he watches the act. That is, he observes it, that's all. He will be seeing the sexual act by some other man with his wife. That is the extreme degree of trialism. And there is one condition called mixoscopia. Mixoscopia is a condition where a person gets sexual gratification by just observing the other people having the sexual intercourse. I think the people who are used to see the pornography, which is popularly known as the blue films, which is because of the developed technology and the internet and the Googles, the porno is available on the nets. Many people, unfortunately, sometimes it's even accessible to the young children. They get used to see and enjoy, and they develop a sexual perversion called mixoscopia. They are not involved in the sexual act. They only get the gratification or satisfaction by watching the sexual act. So the passive agents, like seeing the test match or one-day match or 2020s on the TV, when somebody is playing, the people are enjoying it. So it is an attitude they have developed. Just enjoy somebody doing it. Since that is a match, okay, we take it as a sportsmanship or a viewership, but having the satisfaction, sexual satisfaction by watching somebody having the sex, we call it as a sexually perverted fellow. We call him as a mixoscopia, suffering from mixoscopia. There is another condition called Oedipus complex. It is a sexual perversion or where there is a sexual desire of the son towards his mother. We call it as an Oedipus complex. And Electra complex is a sexual desire of a daughter towards her father. They are all forbidden sex. Oedipus complex, Electra complex, or Pharaoh complex, where the sexual desire of a brother towards the sister. They are mostly, it is seen in the psychopaths or with some history of severe mental trauma in the childhood. So this type of sexual perverts also noted. There is another condition called fratourism or touching. This is also normally seen where a person gets sexual gratification by touching the females by their private parts. It happens in crowded buses where they just come and touch the woman standing, a passenger, with the private parts. They just go on pressing or touching. They touch their buttocks or sometimes to the breasts. Deliberately, they will be waiting at the bus stops just to look for the very, very crowded bus only. They don't get into the free bus because there will be no chance of coming in close contact and touching a lady passenger. So there are the persons who stay at the bus stops, try to get into the crowded buses and touch the private parts in the crowded bus, and in turn they get the sexual gratification. This is eroticism. These things, they happen day in and out. It is the common experience in the passengers who travel by bus. They did experience certain fellows like that who are suffering from the sexual perverts. They are perverts, and that causes a lot of disturbances, lot of trauma, and mentally they are disturbed. These things happen. They are called suffering from fratourism. There are certain other categories like undism. Undism means a person gets the sexual gratification by seeing the somebody micturating. A female micturating, somebody observes from the far distance while they are micturating, this fellow gets the five sexual gratifications. That is called undism. And urolagnia is a condition where he imagines, not necessarily he sees while a woman is micturating, but he imagines that she is micturating and he gets sexual gratifications. And there is a recent complaint or a perversion, a telephone scatologia, obscene telephone calls, obscene SMSs and videos. They send usually by the heterosexual males, and it is they make calls to, and then obscene calls, unnecessary calls, and disturb, and they enjoy in turn when somebody is suffering or to be getting disturbed. They are called scatologia. So these are some of the sexual perversions. And I also discussed to you about the unnatural sexes. I told you about unnatural sexual offense. They are buccal coitus. There are certain terms in the buccal coitus, like it is otherwise called sexual oralism. When somebody licks or kisses around the anus of the partner, it is called anilingus. And somebody kisses or licking of the female genitalia, we call it as a cunnilingus. And if the penis is stimulated by the partner orally, we call it as fellatio. So these are all the certain terminologies as far as the sexual oralism concerned: anilingus, fellatio, or cunnilingus. So all these things, offenses, we heard they do exist, so it is better know about these conditions. They are mostly suffering from some mental diseases or psychiatric disturbances, and they are punishable offenses. In the next class, I will be telling you about the examination of the victims in all the cases of sexual offenses, and how you should certify them, and how to examine and give your opinion. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
సార్ బై ఎట్లా సార్ ఇది కృష్ణ ఏదో తెలియదు సార్ మళ్ళీ ఎప్పుడు అదేదో అది మళ్ళీ ఒకటి కృష్ణ వస్తాను మళ్ళీ ఒకటి చేసి మళ్ళీ